Hello and welcome to the Career Changers, the show that shares the most inspirational career change stories with the world. I'm your host, Elisa Martinez, and today we are going to talk about career change with Anastasia Attiki, transformation coach. We will discuss her career change from marketing to teaching and coaching, why a successful career change needs to start from the inside out, and the secret to overcome limiting beliefs and self sabotage. Be sure to listen all the way through for the details. Hi, Anastasia, and
Hi, Lisa.
welcome to the Career Changers.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm looking forward to talking about this, the career change, very topical issue right now.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to have you here today and to listen to your career change story. So we are going to start our interview with our ritual questions for our guest. What did you want to do when you were a child?
I, I want to do lots and lots of different things, but what I've worked out is that they all had something in common, and that was to help people. That completely lights me up, is to do something that I see other people feeling good about it. It wasn't to make money or um, to be famous, but it was to take people's pain away. That's what I wanted to do.
So, what is your educational background?
Funny you say that. Initially, I thought I was going to physically take people's pain away. I studied biomedical science, and it didn't quite blend with me, especially when I went and worked in a lab for a wee while whilst I was doing my course. And I thought, this is great work people are doing here, but it's just not me. I couldn't see myself working in a lab for the rest of my life. So I left and went to work for a bit. And then I decided, oh, I'm going to study something that is a little bit more me. And I studied politics with media. And that was definitely more interesting for me.
Hmm. So, your origin is Greek. How many languages do you speak, and how has the knowledge of these languages impacted the way you think?
I'm bilingual. I speak English and Greek. Greek is my mother tongue because I came to this country when I was 12. I've studied German for a long time, but I cannot speak it, so I won't put that on my list. Um, it's not so much speaking the languages; it's more the different cultures and the different understanding people have when they speak a different language. So when I switch from Greek to English or vice versa, I find I switch thinking. In order for me to um, make sense and communicate with somebody in a language, I also find that I need to switch the way I think, the culture, which is kind of automatically happens and you might miss it unless you sort of take note. So that's what I find. It's really interesting. It's kind of a learned response. I don't feel particularly one or the other. I feel that I just have to switch my thinking when I speak to people of those different origins.
Hmm. So you've been a very young expat because you say you moved to the UK when you were 12. And at the same time, did you get the opportunity to travel when you were younger?
When I was younger, coming here was coming to the UK was a travel. I mean, I had travelled in countries near Greece before that, but my first time on the plane was when I was 12 and came to England. When I was younger, I was a student. I travelled to the States and I travelled to the Caribbean and many other European countries, but I still have Asia and Africa on my list, on my to-do list to go and visit. And in fact, that's part of my plan later on in a few years when we're all back up and running and can go, is to finish with my travels.
So moving to your career, what was your first working experience?
When I finished university the first time round, when I decided that biomedical science and I were not really going to be a match, I went to work for London Greek Radio, a radio station, which was baptism by fire, if you like. It was definitely a learning curve. It was sink or swim kind of situation. Thankfully, I swam very badly, but I swam, so I can keep up with what was going on and go on air and present, which was yeah, a very scary experience at first. But it was definitely an interesting time, and it was what inspired me to then study politics and media.
That must be a very interesting experience, the opportunity to work for well, an institution, in this case the radio, that is reflecting your original background. Do you have any funny facts about that experience?
There were many stories, much happening. Always, during a radio station, I think with any media, there's always something happening. There's always lots of, traffic, and things happening. It seems to kind of attract people, and lots of stories. But one memory I do have, I mean, it was a long time ago, but one memory I do have, and it was just very, very bizarre, especially to somebody who hadn't worked in media before, a radio station. I remember when somebody would go quiet for a bit, something would happen, or the equipment wasn't working. Somebody would run up and down the station shouting on top of their voice. It was like an emergency, dead air. Dead air. If there was dead air on radio, it was like, death. It was like you couldn't really have dead air. And I first witnessed it in my first few days there, and I just thought it was the most bizarre thing. Why is this person running down the corridor shouting dead air? But that in the world of radio cannot be done. You cannot have dead air. You have to fill it with something, which I learned again, the hard way. And later on, and until I became that person, I would go around and shout dead air. And it was a no. You cannot have dead air on radio. But yeah, that was pretty funny.
So why and how did you come up with the decision to leave this job?
Well, I left that job because, obviously, as I said, it inspired me to go and study media, and I couldn't continue working there and the hours that it needed, and study. So I decided to go and study something that I really did like, to make up for the fact that I was studying before something I wasn't really cut out for. So yeah, that was a decision. I thought I would return to working in the media, but that didn't happen. After my degree, I entered marketing instead.
So you started your professional life with this job, and after that you moved to marketing, but soon realized that wasn't the right environment for you, because as a sensitive person, you felt that you needed something more meaningful that help people improve people's lives. So how was your first experience in the corporate world?
As you described it, I was sensitive. I was in the wrong place, but I didn't see it at first. When you're young, when I was in my 20s, and everybody was trying to be part of that, the buzz in working in London, and being part of it was all happening, and I thought, well, I wanted to experience that and see what all the fuss is about, and working in some top companies. So I did. I did work, and I worked for a communications company, which was very well known in England and the States. But I quickly realized it wasn't really my world. It didn't, marketing and generating money and generating sales, it wasn't really my thing. I still wanted, just like when I was a little girl, I still wanted to help people. And although in an indirect way, somebody would argue, yes, marketing does help people, I didn't feel, I needed to feel it in a tangible, direct way. And in marketing, I didn't feel that. Plus the environment was everyone for themselves. There was no, although they tried to team build a lot, I wasn't feeling it. There wasn't that higher purpose that I needed in my life. It's something I needed to feel that was really, really helping people in a real tangible way.
So this was the time where you had your first career change and you decided to enter the world of education, where you spent a decade teaching in further education. Um, how did you come up with this decision and how did you leave your previous job?
Well, I left the job because I realised it wasn't for me. It was at the end of a contract, and I thought it's, I don't really want to return in marketing. I wasn't looking for another contract, and then I was looking for a career change, and it was a toss between teaching or at the time or counselling. I wanted to do, coaching was sort of at the beginning in the UK at its infancy, and I wanted to do something motivational, that I had experienced something myself going to a course, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to start. I didn't know whether I could study it or I could just start doing it. I wasn't really aware. So I did a short counselling course and realised it was sort of good, but it wasn't quite me. But almost. And then by chance, I found a job in education and entered education and started to, and thought I'd give it a try, because that's something I advise people to do if they've got an inkling, if they want to try something out. There's nothing better than just giving it a try and see, volunteer or something, just to see if that's them. Otherwise, you could be sitting there thinking for a long time, is this for me? And this question won't get answered unless you practice. You try a little bit, whether it be doing some work experience, voluntary, doing a course or something to give yourself an idea. So I did that, and it was great, and probably stayed in education longer than I intended to. I did qualify as a FE lecturer and stayed. I was teaching for about 10 years, a bit too long, I think.
So
and I hesitated again because of the sort of uncertainty about the progression of coaching, and you have to sort of make your own future, if you like, and your own fate. I hesitated for a while, until 10 years on from when I entered teaching, and I thought, I've got to do it. Otherwise it'll be one of those what ifs, because that's really where I should have gone in the first place, but didn't really know enough about it. So 10 years on, I did a coaching diploma, and I've been coaching ever since. Never looked back.
So what's been the biggest challenges of changing career in your experience?
Well, there's the uncertainty. There is, especially as I changed twice. You think, is this going to be another one where I'm not sure, and then I have to change again? Is this going to be something? But your gut instinct lets you know, and we kind of ignore it. Well, I ignored it, And he was always saying coaching to me, or go that way. It's just that I suppose I didn't know enough, and I didn't research it enough, which is a mistake most of us make, is not research enough before we make the decision to leap into something. So try things out, but I've learned now not to stay too long if something doesn't feel quite right. So the challenge of that uncertainty, and also the is it going to work? You don't know. Also, it might be a financial one if you're back to square one and you don't, you build a comfortable life and then you've got to start all over again. And it depends on whether you've got a family to support it. It depends on where you are in your life. And there's a lot of self-doubt to go with that. And that's, I think that's what holds people back the most, is the self-doubt.
Mm. So what transferable skills did you learn from your previous careers, and did they help you in your new career?
I think you always pick up skills in whatever you do, and there's always going to be some transferable skills. I did learn marketing, which was very handy when I'm trying to market myself. Although it was very much out of date when I tried to apply to, almost a decade later. I learned how to read people, how to communicate, and I found my people skills were the ones that whatever I had picked up was the most useful that I used in coaching. Also, I learned the way the corporate world works, the way the education world works. So that's obviously in coaching, it's whatever experience you pick up, it's invaluable because you can help people who are in those worlds. And I've learned to persist with whatever it is that, and persevere. And that's, the resilience that I sort of had to pick up in order for me to keep going from one world to the next. Was invaluable, because in this world, as we know, as we experience, especially nowadays, resilience is really, really important. It's a very valuable asset.
So you talked more about your challenges to change career, but based on your experience as a transformation coach, what are the biggest challenges that people have to face when changing their careers?
A lot of people, when they change careers, sometimes they want to leave, not because they don't like the job. Sometimes they don't like the job, but often what I find, they just don't like the situation. They don't like who they work for. They don't like the people, the environment. So they're trying to escape a situation. And I find at some point, for some people, it's very important to escape because that's not right for them. Like it wasn't right for me. However, I don't want to encourage people to leave without picking up skills, picking up assertiveness skills, things that they need to learn anyway to tackle before they go and move into something they want. Otherwise, it will be they're taking their old selves with them, the old selves that want to run away and don't look at resolving a problem. And they're going to apply it to the new situation. It's best to have resolved whatever issues you have, build yourself up as much as possible. So when you go to the next thing, the next career, the next step that you want to take, that you are seeing it all with new eyes, and you have changed your mindset to a more positive one, so you can succeed. So make sure you're not escaping and going out of the at the fire, was it out of the fire into the frying pan. So those are challenges I see people having. It's kind of with themselves, that they're not happy about something, there's a lot of self-doubt, they don't want to stand up to certain people. And what I would advise is to stand up and then go. Stand up, build up those certain skills, and then if obviously they haven't got you anywhere, go. And that's for the people who, because there's quite a large number of people who want to leave because they're unhappy in the environment that they work rather than the job. Sometimes they're okay with the job, or quite often actually they're okay with the job, it's just the environment they don't like.
So many people that are looking to change their careers, they would focus on finding a new job or maybe enhancing their skills and looking more at the outside factor that can bring them to a different, on a different path. But in your coaching practice as a transformational coach, you affirm that a successful career change needs to start from the inside out. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, and it goes on to what I just said, that, you know, don't take your old self with you when you leave and you start your new career. Just don't take the old ways of thinking, because if there are issues in you know, and people to deal with in your old environment, they will come up again. And building those skills, building, as I said, you know, as I usually call it, your own brand, your own being, you know, you, is really, really important. So if the job is not right, because like for myself, marketing, it wasn't just the environment I didn't like the type of job, the field, it was never really me, then it would have been a mistake to just up and leave without building up those skills and building myself up as something positive. So you're going into a positive change. You're going into the light rather than running away from the dark, if you know what I mean. You're going because something else is much more you, rather than running away from a difficult situation. Because even if you're doing the job you love and you absolutely adore, there's going to be difficult situations that you will want to run away from. So that's the building from the inside out, making sure that you stop your thinking in your idea about yourself and your self-doubt and the not enoughness, that you don't feel that you're good enough, building that up so you feel enough, you feel that, you know, you're a perfectly lovable human being that wants to do something different because it means something more to them. Their values are different, not the running away from a negative situation. That would be trying to change the external but not building the inside.
Mm-hmm. Many people fantasize about changing their careers and building a new life more aligned with their values. But probably the majority are not even trying to make a change. And limiting beliefs and self-sabotage are actually what stops the majority of people to even try. What have you experienced in your practice, and how can you help people to overcome limiting beliefs and stop self-sabotage?
Well, the first thing is to become aware of them, is to know that you're limiting beliefs and to be aware of how, in what instances do you self-sabotage. It's very difficult to work on something and develop something if you don't know it's there. So the first step I help people is become aware of what it is they're doing and why they've ended up in this situation in the first place. And why, and the situation sometimes it's not like, you know, that it's none of their fault that something happened. If somebody loses their job, they lose their job. It's how you deal with it, or what you tell yourself as a result of something, of the bits you can't control, the outside world, and how it makes you feel inside. Because some people, they attach a level of worthiness to their job. So if they lose their job, for them, they will lose their identity. That's it. Becoming aware of that their identity is attached to who they are, because we've all been through it. And I remember feeling completely lost at a time when I was made redundant. And then I had to sort of come through that and realise I'm not my job. I'm not that's not who I am. I'm much more than that. And so if somebody, we become aware of what is it that we have and that we've been taught that doesn't really serve us, then you can start making steps to change it, and to speed that process up by using hypnosis, as you know, to go much faster to the place where you feel worthy, and it's just a matter of taking the right steps to achieve whatever you want to achieve and change and find the career that you want to have, without the emotional negativity of I failed at this and therefore I need to succeed. I need this to become successful. It just becomes a transaction of I'm worthy no matter what. I just need to do something that represents me more, that runs according to my values.
In your practice, you're also using hypnosis as a tool to help people. And why do you think most people actually feel scared of it?
I think people have seen shows. I saw some shows actually in the 90s. Paul McKenna did some where he made people cluck like chickens and do really ridiculous things, and that would be enough to put people off and making a ridicule of themselves. And it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. And the other thing people are afraid of is that I will take over their mind and control, and it's nothing like that either. It's actually in collaboration with the person, with the client, and we work together to put a new script, rewire their mind to a new script that they want, so they choose what they want. It gives them something that they want, and they're awake for the entire process, so they can remember everything. And it's definitely not to look into my eyes and cluck like a chicken. It's like when you're driving. I'm sure it's happened to all of us when we've driven from A to B. Can't remember how we got there. I mean, we did it. We drove, but it's kind of we're in a bit of a daze, and that's hypnosis. That's the state you're in. You're still awake. You're still aware, just in a little bit of a dream world.
What is the most rewarding aspect of being a coach?
For me, it's the transformation I see in people. Is to see that. Is to see people coming out of their pain. As you know, it hasn't changed in all the years. I just wanted to take people's pain away, and although I don't do it physically, well, not always. Sometimes it leads to physical pain, leaving them, but initially their emotional pain. And to me, there's nothing more satisfying than that.
You had two career changes, and then you became a coach. What are now your plans for the future? Do you have any dream?
Oh, well, apart from traveling to Asia and Africa when the world opens up again, I would like to, well, the two things that I've identified when I was doing a lot of career coaching was the overwhelm people are in, that creates someone you can't think, and that's certainly something that I have experienced myself many times, and with the help of my coach I got out of. So I'm now focusing on helping people get out of overwhelm and that anxiety of what's going to happen, and the worry and the self-doubt. So taking people out of self-doubt and into confidence, that quiet confidence where you feel just at peace and content. So those are the themes I'm working, I've started working with now, and will take me into the future. And I'm hoping to create some courses to help people with those, because I found those are the biggest sticking points.
How can your practice help and support our listeners that are embarking a career change process with all the ups and downs correlated, and probably, as you mentioned now, with this high level of uncertainties?
And there is, and is to realize really what is up to them to do, and what it is, and what is out of their hands, which is, you know, out of their control, and what is, and take the bits that they can control and do something with them. And it's to go and do. It's despite the self-doubt, I would say, go and try things out, and then you'll know. If you're uncertain about trying something or going a certain direction, sitting around at home, thinking about it, overthinking it, worrying about it, it's not going to give you the answers. I usually get people to go out and try, or they say, oh, I think I might want to do this. So we take it, we'll get them to do all the research and really look into it as if they were going into that. And what you find is a lot of the time, people find it much easier to eliminate, the process of elimination, once they start doing the research and acting as if they would go into something, make a contact. It doesn't matter if you decide not to. I mean, I've worked with a lot of people that have gone down all the routes that they want to do, and then decided actually that they didn't. It was just the what ifs, and they didn't want to change. What they found is what they wanted to change was something, you know, their self-doubt and their feeling not good enough. But until they went down all those routes and looked at them individually, they didn't know that. It was always in the back of their heads that what is the possibility if I could be happier somewhere else.
If anyone would like to get in touch with you, where and how they can contact you?
My website is my name, anastasiaattiki.com. And also they can email me on anastasia@inspiringpower.com, or I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Just type in my name. I'm the only one, as far as I'm aware, I'm the only one with my name. There are other people that have the same name as me, so I'm quite easy to find.
To conclude, is there any other message you would like to give to our listener?
It will be with regard to self-doubt. Just, if you're thinking about doing something, you're thinking you're not good enough, just think what it would be like if you left this world and you hadn't done it. Think about the end of your life, not, you know, not the best thing to think about as my finishing note, but that's what keeps me going. I think, would I like to end this world without me having tried it and answered that question for myself? And the people who succeed are the people who try things out and fail 100 times. It doesn't matter, but they've tried it. Just try it. If you fail, at least you know that wasn't for you, and it's okay.
Thank you. And really the last question, if you could give yourself a piece of advice, what would you say to your younger self?
Very good question. It's okay. It would be again on self-doubt. It's okay. Make mistakes. Go and make some mistakes. That's what I've learned over the years. Go and don't expect perfection. Don't try not to be wrong. Go and make some mistakes, because along the way you will also get things right.
Thank you very much, Anastasia, for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And the message for our listeners, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in next week for a new inspirational episode of The Career Changers. Thank you again, Anastasia.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.